Katie and I have only recently met. I have known of her and admired her from afar, but we were able to persuade her to come visit the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington a few months back. And as they say, she rocked the house. So to see what she could do to Dallas, we thought we'd bring her here and welcome her, if you would, with me.
Thank you. Thank you. What he means when he says, you know, I've admired her from afar, is that he kept his distance for quite a long time, which is quite sensible. I really enjoyed that by Douglas Murray. He is going to be my fourth husband. He doesn't know it yet. I have to break it to him, but that's my intention. I consider him to be amongst the very best of us. And I come here with one simple message, really, and that is that I don't want America to let itself fall as we have fallen. I say to you, do not fall as the UK has fallen. Do not let yourselves become the land that I no longer know. And just this morning, I have a message on my email box. I get emails all the time from lovely people, just like you or my parents or whomever, 70, 80-year-old people, you know, and they say to me that they're glad that their time is nearly through, because they won't have to live to see their country fall. And those are really hard things to read, because it's hard to have an answer for that. So part of what I do here is bring their voices to you, to bring their warnings to you. And I know, having spoken with many of you already today, that there is that sense of that feeling of being taken over, of how much longer can we hold on for? You know, as a white, Christian, conservative mother of 3 children, I say that I am officially on the endangered species list. You know, I'm right up there with the black rhino, and he has an advantage because he's black. And as part of what I try to do against this kind of backlash that we continually receive, you know, we're told, oh, she's a racist. Katie Hopkins, she's a racist. She's an Islamophobe, that woman. She's a bigot. She's a fattist. She's a misogynist. She's a whatever ist you want to come up with next. And probably some of those things are true. I'm not a big fan of fat people, it's true. I put on half my own body weight and lost it again, actually, to prove fat people were lazy, because I'm a woman of my word. But even if they call you names, what they can't argue with, as I find, is evidence that you present to them. So I spent a couple of days recently on Skid Row. And I stayed there with my camera crew to show this is what life is like under the Democrats, because people can't argue with the truth when they look at it in front of them. And what I found on Skid Row, for example, was that actually it's very much like London in the slums in the 1600s, just before the outbreak of the bubonic plague. And that's right here in America. Otherwise, when I travel in the capital, Londonistan, as I know it now, under our little Muslim mayor, Sadiq Kant, who's utterly useless. He's about as useful as a chocolate teapot, in my personal opinion. I walked with him the other day. He had the misfortune to bump into me in the street, and I saw the colour of his face changed somewhat. And as I walked with him, I said, are you not responsible? Do you not feel responsible for the 44% surge in murder rates? Do you not feel responsible for the fact that our city, London, now has a murder rate greater than that of New York City? Do you not feel responsible for the fact that 64 people, nearly 65 this morning I hear, have been murdered in our capital city since 2018? Do you not feel that you should stand down from your role? But of course he says, it's not my responsibility. It's not my job. And what I find every time with these mayors, particularly Muslim mayors, is that they turn a blind eye to the terror and the troubles in our midst because they're dependent on the Muslim vote. And that Muslim vote keeps growing. I am just returned from Molenbeek, a tiny place, 6 kilometers squared, in the heart of Belgium. It's called the jihadi capital of Europe. I was thrilled to go there. You can imagine my glee. It was responsible for most of the terror attacks we've seen. The Charlie Hebdo murderers came from there. The Paris attackers came from there. And that community hid him for 4 months after he got back as well. The people that carried out the attack on the airport in Brussels came from there. Basically, if there's a terror attack, it came from that 6-kilometre square area. And you want to know how many mosques there are in that 6-kilometre square area, 95,000 people? 27. 27. And only 5 of those are official. The largest, the Great Mosque, was given to the Saudis rent-free for 99 years, and they brought in extreme Salafist imams to access the migrant population. And when I bumped into the mayor of Molenbeek and asked her, you had a list, ma'am. You had a list with the name of the Paris attacker, Salah Abdel Salam. You had his name in October 2015, and he carried out the attacks that killed 130 and maimed 420 1 month later, and you did nothing. And you know what she said? It's not my job. It's not my job. And so that's what we're up against. That's the fight that we all faced. The creep of people into power supported by the communities that they represent, whose votes they can rely on, and who they turn a blind eye to when they will commit acts of harm against our people because they're dependent on their vote. And that's the reason I go from here to Michigan, where we look like, you know, there is a runner of the first Muslim governor in the United States. I see that it's not possible, that it's unlikely that that will happen. But once one comes, that works as a pathfinder for the rest to follow. And I really feel it, you know, you guys are ahead of us. Your society is better than us. You have a constitution, you can still speak freely, you can still have your right to bear arms, and I'm a now signed up member of the NRA. But do not. I have the stickers on my car. And so when the other school mums do drop off, you know, they've got their stickers with babies on board. I like to think I've got bullets on mine. It's like, come on. So I support you the whole way, and I'm right here behind you, cheering you on. And I continue to share my stories from the worst places around Europe and the worst of the situations that we have, because the more people we can show what's coming, the more we can take steps to equip ourselves to fight back. You know, just today, we've opened up a hotline in the UK called a Ramadan hotline for people that want help with Ramadan. There's no hotline for the children that were groomed by the rape squads. And our red buses right now are driving around the city of London with Praise Allah for Ramadan. The same red buses that were blown up by Islamist terrorists not that long ago. You have to wonder if we're being laughed at by the people that are in power and will continue to be in power. So my message, please do not let yourself fall as we have fallen. Please continue to get furious, and please fight back. Thank you.